Golden Globe 2026. Jessie Buckley hears her name, nominated for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama for Hamnet. She smiles, applauds, but there's something the cameras don't capture. Because to get to that seat, she didn't need luck. She needed 17 years. 17 years since, at 18, she came in second place on a televised talent show on the BBC, watched by millions. 3 of the 5 judges said she should win: Andrew Lloyd Webber, Cameron McIntosh, Barry Humphries. But the public chose the other one. And Jessie Buckley learned, on that night in May 2008, something that would shape her entire career. Being excellent isn't enough, and almost making it can destroy you or turn you into something indestructible. Killarney, County Kerry, Ireland, December 1989. Jessie Buckley was born into a family where music was obligation, not choice. Her mother, Marina Cassidy, was a vocal singing teacher. The house had 5 children: piano, clarinet, harp. Jessie reached grade 8 in all 3 instruments at the Royal Irish Academy of Music. She was a member of the Tipperary Millennium Orchestra, participated in Association of Irish Musical Societies workshops during the summer, and at Ursuline Secondary School in Thurles, she wasn't afraid to play male characters: Tony in West Side Story, Freddie Trumper in Chess. She was good, exceptionally good. But good enough for what? In 2008, at 18, she auditioned for I'd Do Anything, a BBC reality show looking for an unknown to star as Nancy in the West End revival of Oliver. She passed the auditions, the eliminations, made it to the final. And on the night of May 31, 2008, in front of millions of viewers, Graham Norton asked the 5 judges, "Who do you think is Nancy?" 3 said Jessie, 2 said Jodie. The public voted. Jodie Prenger won. Jessie Buckley came in second place, and that, in a way, was worse than losing completely. Because losing allows you to start over, but almost winning traps you in emotional limbo. You're good enough to be there, but not good enough to be chosen. And that feeling would follow her for years. Immediately after the show, they offered Jessie Buckley the chance to be Jodie Prenger's understudy in the role of Nancy. She refused. Think about that for a moment. She was 18 years old, had just lost on a show watched by millions, and refused the only thing they offered her. Why? Because being second choice was already unbearable. Being second choice every night on stage would be unbearable permanently. Instead, she accepted a role in Stephen Sondheim's A Little Night Music at the Monet Chocolate Factory, a fringe theater in London. Small, obscure, nothing glamorous, but it was hers. It wasn't consolation, it was choice. The production opened in November 2008, and Jessie played Anne Egerman alongside Maureen Lipman and Hannah Waddingham, directed by Trevor Nunn. The production transferred to the Garrick Theatre in the West End in April 2009, her official West End debut, at 19 years old. But nobody was paying attention because she wasn't the winner of I'd Do Anything. She was the one who almost won. And then came the silence, years of silence. Between 2009 and 2013, Jessie Buckley was working, constantly, but on projects nobody saw. She enrolled at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, RADA, one of the world's most prestigious drama schools. Graduated in January 2013, played Miranda in The Tempest at Shakespeare's Globe in the summer of 2013, did Henry V in the West End alongside Jude Law in 2014. Solid roles, positive reviews, but nothing that generated mainstream attention. She started appearing on television, an episode of Endeavour, Maria Bonkolskaya in the BBC's War and Peace in 2016, Lorna Bowe in Taboo alongside Tom Hardy in 2017, Honor Martin in The Last Post, Marion Halcombe in The Woman in White, always supporting roles, always good, always noticed by critics, but never the main star, never the name people remembered. And here's what's brutal about this phase. She was doing everything right: elite training, challenging roles, consistent work, but the industry didn't see her as a star,
saw her as a solid ensemble actress, as someone reliable but not extraordinary. And that's psychologically devastating, because it means the problem isn't lack of effort, it's something deeper, something less controllable. Jessie Buckley, at 27, made her film debut, Beast, a British psychological thriller directed by Michael Pearce. She played Moll Hunsford, a repressed woman on the island of Jersey who falls in love with a man suspected of being a serial killer. The film was small, low budget, no stars, but Buckley's performance was incendiary, raw, uncomfortable, impossible to ignore. Critics finally paid attention. She won the Most Promising Newcomer Award at the British Independent Film Awards. But here's the irony. She wasn't a newcomer. She had 9 years of career, but Hollywood treated her as if she'd just appeared because nobody was paying attention before. And then came Wild Rose, 2018. She played Rose Lynn Harlan, a Scottish ex-con mother who dreamed of being a country music singer in Nashville. The role required her to sing, and she sang. The soundtrack reached #1 on the UK Country Albums chart. She performed songs from the film at Glastonbury Festival and was nominated for the BAFTA for Best Leading Actress, but she didn't win. She was back in familiar territory, acclaimed, recognized, but not a winner, and this pattern would continue. 2019, Chernobyl, HBO. Jessie Buckley played Lyudmila Ignatenko, wife of one of the firefighters exposed to radiation in the Chernobyl disaster. The series received 19 Emmy nominations, was universally acclaimed, and Buckley's performance was highlighted as one of the best. But she was in the cast for only 2 episodes. Again, excellent. Again, peripheral.
2020. I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Charlie Kaufman, Netflix. A surreal, psychological film, impossible to categorize. Buckley played the young woman, a role that required her to navigate between fluid realities and identities. The performance was disturbing. She was nominated for the Gotham Independent Film Award. Critics called her a revelation, but the general public didn't watch, because it's Charlie Kaufman, and Charlie Kaufman doesn't make easy films. 2021, Fargo, 4th season. She played Oretta Mayflower, a psychopathic nurse. Comic, terrible, fascinating. Again, praise. Again, supporting role. You see the pattern? Jessie Buckley was building one of the most consistent and interesting careers of the decade, but was invisible to anyone who wasn't a film critic or obsessive cinephile. And there was a question she probably asked herself: how long can I do this before I give up? 2021, Maggie Gyllenhaal, directorial debut, The Lost Daughter, based on Elena Ferrante's novel. Olivia Colman played Leda, a comparative literature professor on vacation in Greece, dealing with memories of her motherhood. Jessie Buckley played the younger version of Leda. 2 actresses, same character. No attempt to imitate each other's mannerisms, just 2 souls vibrating on the same frequency. The film premiered in December 2021 on Netflix, and finally, after 13 years, Jessie Buckley received her first Oscar nomination, Best Supporting Actress. She was 32 years old, also nominated for the BAFTA, won the Gotham Independent Film Award, and suddenly Hollywood realized, oh, she exists. But here's what nobody talked about publicly. She was in complete shock. In an interview, Jessie admitted she was in complete shock about the nomination, and not because she didn't deserve it, but because after years of being invisible, being seen was surreal. Her brother Cillian, who worked as an alpine guide in France, was the first to call and tell her. Almost simultaneously, Olivia Colman also called, but the brother got there first. She didn't win the Oscar, lost to Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, and once again she was back in second place. But this time, something was different, because she was no longer fighting to be seen. She was being seen. And the industry finally understood what critics had known for years. Jessie Buckley was extraordinary. November 2021. While The Lost Daughter was premiering, Jessie Buckley was in the West End, playing Sally Bowles in Cabaret, alongside Eddie Redmayne, directed by Rebecca Frecknell. The production transformed the Playhouse Theater into the Kit Kat Club, immersive, visceral, dangerous.
And Jessie wasn't doing Sally Bowles like Liza Minnelli. She was doing her own version, raw, vulnerable, emotionally shattered. She sang Cabaret every night as if it were the last time, and Eddie Redmayne, years later, would say that watching her sing that song through the curtain was the stuff that dreams are made of. April 2022, Olivier Awards. The Cabaret production won 7 awards, including Best Actress in a Musical for Jessie Buckley. She went on stage and said, "This is my worst nightmare and my biggest dream at the same time," because she finally had a leading award, not supporting, not promising, leading, and she was 32 years old. But here's the truth, she should have won this award years ago, but the industry wasn't looking. May 2023, they announced that Jessie Buckley would play Agnes Hathaway, William Shakespeare's wife, in Hamnet, directed by Chloe Zhao, Oscar winner for Nomadland. Based on Maggie Ferrari's novel, the story of Shakespeare's son's death at 11 years old and how that tragedy inspired Hamlet. Jessie didn't do historical research. She bought a book called How to Be a Tutor, read 4 pages, and thought, "I can't do this." She laughed in an interview. "I normally do these things out of fear, and then they never see the light of day again." Instead, she approached Agnes like a stranger she'd pass on the street, with wild curiosity, from the inside out. Filming was a roller coaster. The final scene, where Agnes watches Hamlet at the Globe Theatre, took 8 days to film. Jessie was surrounded by 300 extras, and the most important emotional moments, the crowd reaching out their hands and Hamnet reappearing, weren't in the script. They were discovered in real time. When Jacoby, who played Hamnet, appeared on the 8th day after this roller coaster, it was everything. "It broke my heart and gave it back in the same breath," said Jessie. Hamnet premiered at the Telluride Film Festival in August 2025, won the People's Choice Award at the Toronto International Film Festival, and in December 2025, the Golden Globe nominations were announced. Jessie Buckley, nominated for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama. 17 years. Since I'd Do Anything. Since 3 judges said Jessie and the public chose the other one. 17 years of invisible excellence, of almost winning, of being excellent without being seen. And now she was being seen, finally. Perhaps stunning success wasn't about talent. Jessie Buckley was always talented, since she was 18. Perhaps stunning success was about resilience, about continuing when the industry doesn't see you, about choosing difficult roles when easy ones are available, about refusing to be second choice, about building a career based on integrity, not shortcuts. Jessie Buckley didn't become famous overnight. She became famous after 17 years of invisible work. And perhaps that's the truth nobody wants to hear, that excellence doesn't guarantee recognition, that you can do everything right and still be ignored, that almost winning can be more devastating than losing, but also that if you keep going, if you refuse to give up, if you choose the roles that scare you instead of the ones that comfort you, eventually the world will stop and will look and will realize you were always there. Jessie didn't change, the world changed. It finally learned to see her. And now the question remains, will she win the Golden Globe, the Oscar? Maybe, maybe not. But in the end, perhaps the greatest triumph isn't the award. It's the fact that after 17 years, nobody can ignore her anymore. Because the untold struggles behind Jessie Buckley's stunning success weren't about reaching the top. They were about surviving the journey there. And she survived.